Hello people, and welcome back to YouTube and my channel more so. Um, Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, why are we here in the Philippines? Many vloggers talk about it, um, and I don't think there's a real answer for it. From all the countries in the world to choose from, why did I end up here? Well, I ended up here, I think I said it in a previous video that it wasn't a sure intentional thing about me being here. But people who do have the intention of coming here, could be for a number of reasons. I think a lot of the reasons are for the beautiful girls, I think, perhaps. Uh, because unless you've been here, you don't know if you're going to like it. But if you're talking to a girl online, you like the girl without having to, without having been into the country. But for me, I think it's just, it's the, it's my kind of life at my age, in my 50s. Could I have settled into this place in my 20s or 30s? I think I was too ambitious then. So I think when you do come to the Philippines, it's normally older people, not always, but and some a lot older than me. I haven't seen that many people younger than me here, to be honest. But I think when you come to the Philippines, when you're older, I think the only ambition you have is by being contented and trying to make, another life for yourself. Uh, and, many can't. Many do. But I don't know the percentage of success, if you want to call it that, or failure of people who've been here and thought that they was going to have a new life. Uh, and of course, making memories for me is very important. And I mean, even now, I've been here 7 years and I've got some fond memories of the place and different places that I've been to, even different places I've lived in. I've certainly had different experiences of different places I've lived in here, in the city, to what it is here. Here is a very slow pace and a very relaxing pace, I think. More poverty here, of course there is, but I think there's poverty everywhere in the Philippines. It's just at different levels. But I think for anyone who does come and live here, you can't look at that poverty and look down at people, for being in that poverty. I think we have to treat everybody equal in all walks of life. I think I've always treated people equal, no matter where I've been, no matter what I've done. Whether someone's wearing, a designer clothing or whether someone's walking around in rags, it makes no difference to me. I don't look at people any differently whatsoever. And I'll talk to everyone just the same, regardless of status. Because guys, we never know if that could happen to us. I know a guy in England, um, he was an engineer and he worked for Sykes Pickervant, and he had everything. And then all of a sudden, he had nothing. Even his health had gone, his mental health. And that was because of one thing. And that thing was he found out his wife was having an affair with one of the workers who was working in his house doing renovations. He wasn't expecting that to happen. He wasn't expecting his life to change. But he did. He was homeless. And he was homeless not necessarily because he had to be. He was homeless because he wanted to be on his own. He didn't want to be around anyone. He didn't want to stay in houses. He was walking the streets. Very intelligent guy. So we never judge a book by its cover. Never take things at face value. But my reasons of being here is, listen, the birds are singing, it's peaceful, and there's no dramas. The only dramas that I get here are from the dramas when the neighbours are having a little bit of argument, normally between families. That's the only drama that happens here, I think, where I am. And I think that being somewhere where you can actually be yourself, where you aren't caught in, the consumerism of the West. Of course, it happens here in the cities, yes, it does. But where I am, there is no such thing. Probably because people can't afford it. They can't afford to go out and spend and get whatever they want. But, they seem to manage. They seem to get, the items that they need on utang, as it's called here. I think everybody lives here on utang, Filipinos. I don't think foreigners can get it. Probably a good thing, because many would get it and then probably go back home. I don't know what would happen. But for an example, when I got my my PLDT, because at that particular time I was only on a probationary residency, I didn't have my permanent. And when I applied, they said, "Have you got a residency?" I said, "Yeah, I have." I said, and I showed them my iCard. And because it was only a probationary, they said, "No, sir, you've got to pay 3 months up front." And I said, "Well, why is that?" Because it never used to be. Because when I was here before, well, I was here like originally, but when I was in a different area, I had PLDT, and I did then it was a 2-year contract, I think. And that was just a 1-month deposit. And I stayed there for 2.5 years. The 2 years was up and I didn't renew it. And they said, "No, sir, it's changed because there's a lot of foreigners who was actually getting it. And then they were just leaving and then, perhaps moving to a different part or going back to their home countries. So now we charge a 3 months deposit." That's fair enough. So anyway, you don't lose it. Not like if you used to put a deposit on a flat or something and you leave, and the chances of you getting that deposit back would be pretty remote, I would think. But here, what they do, they just take it off every month's payment. So you get that back, you just don't pay anything for 3 months. So yeah, and being here for me is it is solitude, I think. Finding who I really am, I suppose. And I've got plenty of time to do that. And I'm living my life the way that I want. And I think I'm doing the best to my ability without having to work for it. And I don't mean work as in working for a salary. I mean working to change yourself. I'm certainly not doing that. I'm just being myself and fitting in, I would think, quite well. And I've got many Filipino friends who talk to me and they all say, "You're a good man, you're a good man. You always talk to us, you always have time for us." Where many foreigners don't, incidentally. I know not many, because I don't know many foreigners here, but I know some who don't really have a lot to do with the local people. And I think that's terrible, really. I think that's, I just can't see the point. I can't see the reason in it, to be fair. And yes, I had some good friends in the UK, and I've got some good friends around the world that I've met when I've been working in Japan and in South Korea. So I've got some good friends. But here, I think the friends I've made here weren't through having copious amounts of finance, because I'm in the same boat as everybody else here. Incidentally, I'm not rich, but I have enough, and I don't want for any more. I'm very simplistic. And I am certainly not materialistic. I don't judge people by how they dress and by their Gucci handbags or the car in which they drive. Fair enough. If they've got the money to do that, then I think brilliant. Good luck. I did it once in England. or I could do it once when I was in England. But the reason I'm here is not because, and many people might say, oh yes, many foreigners go there for the young girls, Well, some do, yeah, of course they do. But that wasn't my reason. It never has been a reason. I've never been kind of that way inclined, just to go somewhere for a woman. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Whether it be in my own country, leaving a part of my own country to live in another part of my country because of a woman. No, I wouldn't do that. Uh, I, you know, I, I'm here because I love it here. I really do love it here. The peace, the quiet, the tranquility, the generous people, the friendly people. Even though they've gone through a hard time themselves, they've gone through strife, financial difficulties, they still have a grin from ear to ear. And it just reminds me sometimes that there are many people worse off than I am. So I think it makes you humble. Humble is the word. I think when you become humble, you start to appreciate the small things around yourself. And when you appreciate the small things around yourself, then you begin, to love yourself even more. Not for being a Jack the Lad or for having a wallet that's always full of money, but just for simply who you are. To help someone out, even to give them 10 pesos, or even if you're in England, to give them £1 or what have you. You know, I think that tells you what kind of person that you actually are. And not to think that anyone is better than you or worse than you. You know, we aren't above and we aren't below anybody. We all equal. We aren't above, we aren't below. We all equal. Regardless of success or failure, even. Doesn't matter. Sometimes we have to be successful, or sometimes we have to have a failure to become successful in many ways, whether it be a big life-changing thing or just a small changing thing that enhances your life. And my life is enhanced. And coming here as well, without pension. Yes, foolish thing. I know, foolish thing. But I made it work. I simply made it work. Because I am quite stubborn in lots of ways, and I have got pride. But I know when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I will admit I'm wrong. I'm not one of these people who would not admit being wrong if you are wrong. I'm the first person to admit if I've made a mistake, after I've calmed down, of course. But I think that's what makes a person and personality, is realizing your mistakes as well and admitting to your mistakes, because none of us is perfect. None of us, nobody, no one's perfect. And I think it's going to rain. Doesn't matter, it cools things down a bit. So, coming somewhere, what is good for you, is almost certainly not good for someone else, for all. So I think we have to concentrate on who we really are, to be able to settle in to some different surroundings in which we are living. And I did it very well. I think I did it very well. It might have took me a little while, but I've adjusted, I would say 95%. But you've got to leave that Western mindset behind as well, I think, for you to be contented. So I think if you have that Western mindset and you can't get rid of that Western mindset, and you come here and you build a Western mind house, which is lovely, that's okay. And you want this and you want that, then I think you're defeating the object of wanting a simple life, because you're still being materialistic. There's nothing wrong with people having big houses and having houses like you did in your own country, but you've got to just step back and think. My original idea of a house here when I was going to build my house was I was going to build a native house. But because my wife was brought up in a native house, she didn't say no, she didn't want to build a house like that, but she said she'd like to live in a concrete house, a hollow block and concrete. And I thought about it and I thought, yeah, do you know what, she's right, probably. You know, I'm doing things for my selfish self, and it's not just me. If I was being on my own, then I probably would have built a native house out of the nipa and the bamboo and the cocoa. It wouldn't have lasted long. I think they last about 5 or 10 years, and you have to replace them because of the termites and things, and the weathers and things. But anyway, I was thinking of her, so yes, I built a concrete hollow block house because that's what she would like to live in. But it's by no means grand. You know, it's not a grand house. It's a little modest house. It's a little humble house. But we're happy. We like it. It's big enough for us. In fact, it's people who come into our house, the local Filipinos, say, "You've got a big house," and I'm thinking, well, it's not really. But then take into account their houses, how they live. It is big in comparison, but not big to my house that I had in the UK. But it's a lovely house. I love it. And yes, many people will say, well, why don't you rent? You know, people say, you know, rent because if you have something, it's never yours if you're married. Well, that's true. It's never yours. But then perhaps you're being selfish and thinking, well, if I can't have it, you can't have it. That's not the way to think, is it? You know, when you've got a wife, and I've got a child as well, you know, so everything will go to him or to my wife, to them. It's theirs now. You know, it's not going to go to them. It already is theirs. And I think that's a lovely feeling because at least I've done something gracious. At least I've done something that I wanted to do, and I'm happy with that. Many people don't like to do that. They can't swallow that feeling. They can't swallow it. Foreigners, I mean. But for me, it's all about being contented, being happy. And I am, totally. And I'm sat here now and it's starting to thunder, so it's definitely going to rain. And by the time I get home, I will be dripping wet because I'm about 15-minute walk from the house. I just thought I would come out here because it's nice and peaceful. And I was going to walk down to the river, but it's quite overgrown and I didn't bring a rag around or a machete to clear the path. I put it on the side, but I just forgot it. I simply didn't bring it. But, you know, everywhere you go, you've got to decide if it is for you, you know. And I'm sure anyone can adapt to any surroundings if you put your mind to it, and if you want to. I think that's a very important fact, if you want to. And I wanted to, and I did, and I'm very happy for it. And I love the Philippines, and I love the people, and I love being here. And I think that's all it takes. You don't need anything else. If you like being where you are, if you like the surroundings in which you live, and the people around you in your surroundings are decent people, then God, you know, what else do we need? You know, we don't need anything else. Some people like a lot of money. Some people can't get by unless they have a lot of money. Again, everyone's not the same. Everyone will never be the same, and that's what makes the world a very interesting place. It's because no one's the same. We are all different, and that's what makes the world go around. Indifferences and money makes the world go around, and some may say love. Oh, and I'm going to get up and I'm going to head off back because it is going to start raining because that thunder is getting closer. So that's it really, guys. I just thought I'd do a little brief video on what I think and, you know, my thinking, my thoughts, if you like, my thoughts. And that is it for today, because it is going to rain. The sky's suddenly gone black, so I'm going to hurry on back. I'm going to scurry back And I'm going to say goodbye to you. And again, thanks for taking the time to listen. And if anything I've said could be a little bit of an inspiration, even to one person, that's good enough. But don't hold yourselves back from doing what you want to do, because that way you're never going to do anything. Believe me, you're never going to do anything, and this is the way out of here. So guys, thank you. Old subscribers, new subscribers, I thank you all equally as much. And take good care wherever you are in the world. Bye bye, people. Bye bye.